Hello, it is Friday, July 16th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and this is my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. Welcome back. It's Friday, so we're closing out the work week with what will most likely be the trickiest puzzle we've solved so far this week, at least before tomorrow on Saturday. And I wanted to quickly return to a couple clues from yesterday's puzzle that some people in the comments pointed out to add some nuance and greater understanding. And I've done this a couple times this week. If you enjoy that, let me know. If you don't, let me know as well. I've sort of gone back and forth on whether it makes sense to do this because conceivably somebody could be watching this video who wants to do yesterday's puzzle but has not done so, and therefore this could sort of be a spoiler. So if so, maybe skip forward a minute or so. But let me know if you think this kind of thing is interesting to you. I think it's interesting because I like getting, often I'll end up skipping past clues that get filled with crosses and I won't return to them. And so I won't notice something clever, or in some cases, there's just a bit of knowledge I didn't have. And in this case, we have one of each of those. So first of all, if you remember the times picayune answer from yesterday's clue, I speculated that picayune, which refers to a triviality, a trifle, something of little importance, or frivolity, was maybe so named as a newspaper because perhaps traditionally that newspaper focused on more fun or trivial matters. But Daniel Fries in the comments yesterday pointed out that the Times-Picayune is so called because New Orleans used to be in Spanish Louisiana, where the picayune coin was in use when the paper was named. It only cost 1 picayune, or 1/16th of a dollar. So that's great. So as an elderly British person might ask, what does that cost in old money? And the answer would have been 1 picayune. And then another really good one that I didn't return to, Liam O'Donnell Carey in the comments points out that in the answer to the clue Joey from children's fiction, which sounds like what it wants is a surname, maybe a children's author or a children's fiction character whose name is Joey, and then the answer was Rue. And in my case, that got filled with crosses, and I never went back and looked at it. And what that refers to is the character Roo from Winnie the Pooh, who is a Joey, because a Joey is a kangaroo child. That is that term. And I'm really disappointed I didn't go back and look at that answer after it had been filled, because that is incredibly clever. So thank you to both of those commenters for pointing those things out. And let me know if you like this sort of retrospective return. That's redundant, isn't it? But if you like this retrospective examination of some of these clever clues that I might have not fully contextualized during the original solve, I think it's fun, but I would understand people differing about that. Anyway, let's move on to Friday. We have got a puzzle by Sophia Memudis and Kyra Wilson here. And I am going to get right into it after all of that preamble. So let's go. Ready to get started? Yes. Okay. Cases of false incrimination. I'm not sure. I think, as I've said before, often, especially on a Friday, I'll go through and I actually know this, or I think I do, and wait for the low-hanging fruit, because then that'll give you that'll give you some crosses, which tend to make things a lot easier. But in this case, I think I actually do know this. Band feature in Disney World's Rock and Roller Coaster. I've actually never been to Disney World, but I have been to Disneyland Paris. I've been to a few Disney parks, one of which was Disneyland Paris. And I believe, maybe it's the same ride they have at Disney World. I believe there is an Aerosmith ride at Disneyland Paris, and I have not been on that ride myself, but that's an amazing fact that may well be connected here. So here's a funny case where people sometimes point out that these puzzles have a lot of American culture specific knowledge, and that certainly can be true. Here's a case where something in Europe actually helped answer an American culture question. So go figure. And I may be wrong about this answer, but I bet it's true. Truth be told, not sure. Fix as a winter coat. It's probably re something. Hannah, who wrote The Human Condition. I pronounced it Hannah because I think this is Hannah Arendt. And that's how her name is pronounced. Distracted as with romantic feelings. I mean, I assume this is something like smitten, which obviously is not the case here, but I think that's probably what it's going for. Best driver for one. And driver is capitalized. What is that getting at? Oh, maybe it means to best driver, as in to do better than someone named driver. I don't know, but actress Thurman is Uma Thurman, certainly. Hidden dangers, not sure. Perambulates. Strolls? Yeah, I believe that's what perambulates is. So cases of false incrimination. Let's look at this again. I don't know. I am feeling a little bit brain foggy today, I have to say. It was my housemate's birthday yesterday, and had a few drinks. I don't know that I'm fully in a solving state at the moment, but let's keep going and see how it goes. Train through 8 states. This is potentially fairly obscure. It could be Acela, which is a train line run by Amtrak in the United States that I took a number of times when I very, very briefly lived in Boston and visited New York on the Acela. I think it might be that. I only really say that. I wouldn't have known it's 8 states, and it might not be. This could be wrong, but it's 5 letters and it fits, so I put it in there. Palms, e.g. for short, not sure. Let's see. Boy, I'm off to a poor start today. I feel like I'm stumbling constantly. Truth be told. Cases of false incrimination. Boy, I don't know. I bet a lot of people watching this are way ahead of me here today. This is not going so well. Thin in tone. I mean, tinny could be the answer here. We actually had reedy yesterday, which could sort of be used in the same way. I mean, they're slightly different. Best driver for one. I think this is ESPY, which is awards given on the sports network ESPN. This is one of those clues I primarily know from the crossword, but I think that's probably what that is. And that probably that's probably a golf award, because you drive the ball in golf. So I think that's what that is. All right, let's go back to here. Last of the Ptolemies. So this would be a pharaoh, presumably, or something like that. But I don't know offhand. Supporting could be for. If you support something, you're for it. Short story writer Bret Hart, I think, is a short story writer. Let's look at the crosses. Black Sea Resort Town. Oh, God, this is another one that I definitely know and just can't bring to mind. I feel very off today. Ford vehicle, familiarly. This presumably is a Ford car model. I think the Ford Limited was a car, but that would need to have an S on the end or be plural or something, which isn't appropriate here. Let's look here. Word with over 400 definitions in the OED. I mean, it could be let. That's a short word that would fit here, and certainly means a lot of things. Could be but. Neither of those look great with this cross on truth be told. Could be yet. Fix as a winter coat. Distracted as with romantic feelings. I should probably move on because this corner, I feel as though there's a lot in here I really should be getting, and I'm just not getting it. run through Winter Olympics pairs event. Could be something with skating. What else has pairs in the Winter Olympics? 1995 cult classic directed by Kevin Smith. This must be Mallrats. All right, that probably does confirm Acela. Now, groom could be a groom in a wedding. It could be a groom related. It could be to groom as in to sort of take care of yourself, to preen. It could be groom with related to sort of horse care. But I don't know. Bumper adornment. I don't know. I mean, the obvious thing there would be a sticker, but that obviously doesn't fit at all. Let's keep going. Splitting of hairs with a question mark. Let's keep going. When doubled, a 2010 hip hop fad. I think is this Nay Nay? Is that what is that? I have a sort of vague memory of this, and I couldn't tell you what it is, but I think that might be it. Maybe it's spelled differently. Try out before release as a game. Now that looks like beta test, which would eradicate Acela as trained through 8 states. Let's look at some of the crosses here and see if beta test is likely. Oh, could be play test, and that would actually fit with Acela. That must be what it is. Okay, great. Groom, primp. So it is the meaning dealing with sort of preening, that sort of thing. Palms, e.g. for short. So this is PDAs, personal digital assistants, a sort of outdated type of electronic, such as a Palm Pilot. That's what that's referring to. Bumper adornment, decal. So it is essentially a sticker. Run through. It's either run through as a verb or a run through as a noun, which I guess would be a recap. A splitting of hairs is a part. You part your hair. Alas would be sadly. Alas. Sadly, I'm not doing very well at this crossword. Winter Olympics pairs event, ice dance. Okay, so it was skating related, I believe. Bites in a sense. Not sure offhand. Let's come back to it. Most sacred is probably holiest. Word with hot or fresh. Not sure offhand, but I think that'll be easy once we have some crosses. Mr. Fix-It. I guess this is handyman. It's handy. Oops. Probably with a Y, not an I there. Partner of all. Now, I think this is actually more straightforward than it might seem, and is simply any in the phrase any and all. Let's look at the crosses. March. Probably march as in a sort of walk en masse, something like that. Big name in pizza rolls. I think this is one of those things that I've never had, but I think comes up on Twitter a lot. And I think it's Totinos or Totinos, something like that. I think that's what this is. Tennis great Monica would be Monica Seles. I do remember that name. Scholarly work. Could be a paper. I mean, that's very straightforward, but it could well be that. Hot or fresh? Yep, the answer is air. Yep. And bites in a sense, this is probably reacts, as in, let's try something and see if he bites, see if he reacts. One of the fates. So this is Greek myth, presumably. And I can't bring it to mind right now, but let's look at some of these crosses with some letters already filled in. Role player. Role. Pianist. So that doesn't quite make sense. I mean, it's sort of, I say that thinking of a piano roll, in other words, a sort of cylinder with musical notation stamped into it so that as it rotates, it flicks tines or triggers hammers of a piano to play notes in a prearranged fashion, and that's called a piano roll. And so role player, it's sort of in the linguistic arena of pianos. And so I put pianist, but I don't really think that actually makes sense, because the point of a piano roll is that it's not played by a pianist. It's played autonomously by the piano. So I don't really know I don't think this is right. And then we've got this TN, which isn't, so I might be on the completely incorrect track here. Let's look elsewhere. March could be tramp, as in tramp along. Not the glamorous sort, could be a plain Jane. Let's look at this J cross. Spirited message board is a Ouija. I think I spelled that right. O-U-I-J-A, I think is how that's spelled counterintuitively. Animal in the suborder Vermilingua, worm tongue. I don't know that. She's the responsible one in the group, colloquially. I don't know, but it could start with Ms., M-S, just because it's referring to a woman. Or it could be Mama something. That actually is probably better. Let's look at that. Mama Bear? Did I spell Ouija wrong? No. Let's look at this 55 down. Muscly, say. That looks like fit to me. Could this be mom, M-O-M? I could be doing something wrong in this area in general. Let's back out a little bit. Certain gown wearers. Now, my first thought here was bride, but that doesn't fit. Certain gown wearer. Oh, it could be grads. A graduate in a graduation ceremony is probably what that is, because it needs to be plural. Let's go back to this piano thing. What is this? A role player. Oh, is it pianola? That word is sort of in my brain. I think that is referring to some kind of player piano, some kind of automated piano, and I have a vague memory of that being a thing. And so I think that might be what it is. And then that works with mom here. So I think that's probably correct. Let's look at, now that we've got something here, let's look at back, I never even looked at this. Holiday hearth feature would be a Yule log. Black Sea Resort Town. Oh, is this Yalta? This must be Yalta. Boy, I guess I don't know this fate name offhand. Short story writer Brett. I said heart earlier, and I think it must be. Let's put it in and see what happens. Draws. So this could be draws as in attracts. It could be draws as in illustrates. I'm guessing it's going to be the attracts meaning because of the length of the word, but I could be, and the letters, but I could be incorrect, of course. Gaffer's supply. So what is a gaffer? I think a gaffer on a film set, for instance, is someone dealing with the sort of set electrics of some kind. There's gaffer tape, adhesive tape. I mean, there are a few meanings to that word, and I'm not sure which it is here. Low draw. Not sure offhand. O'er and o'er. So what this probably suggests is that the answer itself will also be a contraction. This is obviously meaning over and over, and it's using the sort of poetic contraction of over to o'er. And what that probably means is the answer is also a contraction. Cardinal points. This could be, obviously cardinal points. It could be referring to northeast, south, and west, but I think given the question mark, the punniness, it's probably a sports points thing. If you don't tell them, I will, e.g. That's a threat, I suppose. It's sort of an ultimatum or a threat. Let's look at the cross. River past Louisiana. That's probably the Ohio River, I'd think. It sounds like it would be. Heard, but not seen. Heard, but not seen. Rule Britannia composer. Who composed Rule Britannia? Don't know. Oh, Senator Feinstein of California is Diane. my one-time senator. Cardinal points. It must be TDs for touchdowns. To do some bonding, probably solder or solder, depending on your region. Oh, heard but not seen is oral, of course, as in auditory only. Oh, Rule Patronic Composer, is this, oops, doorbell, that's not for me. I think this is Arn. That rings a bell. And that would fit here with this animal in the suborder Vermilingua, wormtongue, which is anteater, which certainly sounds like wormtongue would make sense. And then muscly is fit. So that means this, she's the responsible one in the group colloquially is mom friend. I have never heard mom friend before. I mean, I suppose it fits the clue, but it's a new one on me. Fair enough. Last of the Greeks, I suspect this means the last letter in the Greek alphabet, which is omega. A whiz, presumably this means an ace, a sort of someone very talented at a particular thing. To sanctify is to, consecrate or make holy in some way. I don't know what that is offhand, but let's look at, I don't think we've looked at these crosses down here yet. Make an unwanted appearance in a video call. I suspect this is a neologism, Zoom bomb. I don't even know if that's a phrase, but it just seems like it would be in the world in which we all find ourselves these days. That seems like that would be a phrase and it would fit. Gaffer's supply. I don't know. I mean, this may not be Zoom bomb, of course, but I'm going to look at some of the crosses and see. Thick mains. Maybe it's not Zoom bomb. Although we can probably put an S at the end of this plural. Wise guys. Wise guys would be sages, wise men, wise people. Let's look at these. Rolls, e.g. So this could be Rolls as in short for Rolls Royce, but it may well not be. It's probably Rolls in some other sense, of which there are several, obviously. Let's look if putting an S at the end of this plural helps. Dojo levels. So this presumably refers to black belt, green belt, all the different sort of belts of a martial art, which I think are called dans or dons. I don't know how to pronounce it. To sanctify is to bless, of course, yes. A whiz is a maven, someone who has particular skill at something. Loud chewing for many would be a pet peeve. Rolls, e.g., would be bread, as in bread rolls. Thick manes, I suppose, would be mops, as in a mop of hair. O'er and o'er, oft, as in if you do something over and over, you do it often. And we're using the poetic contraction of that, which is oft. Not requiring a suit, say, I don't even think I saw this clue before. This would be informal. A low draw won something, so a low power draw or something like that. What would that be? One what? Not sure. Gaffer supply, zip ties? So maybe a gaffer isn't necessarily specifically an electrician, but is some sort of, maybe there's some sort of handyman or something along those lines. I should look that up later. A homeschool link for short. Homeschool link for short. Now, this could be referring to homeschooling. It could be, and I don't know if this is the case here, probably not, but just to, as I try and sometimes scatter in more general crossword tips, sometimes when you see a word like link following a hyphenated compound word, sometimes what this means is that the answer is actually going to be a word that would link home and school. I don't think that's actually what this is here, but if there were such a phrase, home to school, a potential answer to this clue, homeschool link for short, could be home to school, although that wouldn't satisfy the for short element, which probably refers to an abbreviation or a contraction. So again, I don't think that link is what that means here. It's just something to look out for in general. Sometimes when you see that link, what it means is a word that links together the compound phrase earlier in the clue to produce a different phrase. That's just sometimes what that means. So something to keep in mind. Sweat. Oh, what is it? What is this? Something with an ERS at the end, maybe. Why am I not getting this? I feel as though there are a bunch of answers in this puzzle that should be a lot more obvious than I'm making them. All right. Ford vehicle, familiarly. Oh, you know what? You know what this actually is? This is not a Ford car, automobile. This, I think, is Harrison Ford vehicle. And in this sense, vehicle means a film or film series that serves as a starring role for Harrison Ford, which would be Indy for Indiana Jones. And the familiarly is how we know that this is referring to a sort of nickname or contraction of some kind. It's a familiar name of Indiana Jones, Indy. That's what that means. Distracted as with romantic feelings. Actually, I think this is moony in the sense that the moon is often metaphorically, I mean, obviously traditionally has connotations with madness, but also with romantic longing, that kind of thing. So I think that's what that is. Cases of false incrimination would be frame-ups. That's what that is. Truth be told, here we go. Fact is, I have really stumbled on this puzzle. Fix as a winter coat would be to reline, to replace the lining in the coat. And so the word with over 400 definitions in the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, sorry, that's what that is. I didn't say that earlier, I don't think, would be set, which certainly is a word with quite a few definitions. And then the last of the Ptolemies is Cleopatra, which of course makes perfect sense. Hidden dangers are pitfalls. Draws would be, it is the meaning of attraction, which is pulls. Muscly, here we go. Oh, did we have another muscly earlier? Is that what this was? Yeah, muscly, say, was fit, and then here muscly is built. I wonder why this one is muscly and this one is muscly, say, because I think they would both be fair enough with either of those clues. So I wonder what the distinction was there. Homeschool link for short. This is PTA. And actually, you know what? It actually is sort of, it's a different sense of the same idea I was communicating earlier. So what this means is, in a less sort of technical linguistic sense, but in a more metaphorical way, the PTA, which is the Parent Teacher Association, is a link between home and school. It's something conceptually that links home and school, as opposed to something that literally links the words home and school. So that's what that is. Oh, and then this would be sweat bullets. All right, and there we go. That's the puzzle. Okay, so certainly a rough start for me on this puzzle. We got there in the end. I hope you enjoyed it. As is usual on Friday, we are creeping into certainly more difficult territory. I would say that was probably tougher than yesterday's, although, as I've said before, it differs so much person to person. It's always tough to say. And I was very fortunate, to be totally frank, to get this Aerosmith clue right off the bat due to some incredibly specific and arcane knowledge from having visited Disneyland Paris once. So lucky me, that was an easy break-in for me. Wouldn't be as obvious probably to a lot of people. So I was fortunate. Let me know how you fared in this puzzle. And I will be back tomorrow for a Saturday puzzle. One thing I wanted to mention, and I don't expect this from anybody, but if you are so inclined, you can now tip me through the service Ko-fi, which is KO-FI. And I'll put a link to my Ko-fi page under the video. And essentially what it is you can toss me a few quid, a few dollars, essentially as a tip for performing this dubious service to you every day. I've been doing this crossword solve as an experiment. I did the first one really as a complete experiment, having no idea if a single person would be interested in it. It does seem that enough people might be interested that it's something I would like to keep doing for a while. And so I'm trying to figure out a way that I can justify the time spent doing it between the recording, the editing, and the publishing of it. Whether it's something I can actually, in the long term, make a part of my ongoing work. So I don't entirely know how to do that, but I figured as a very, I suppose, straightforward and easy way that doesn't ask very much of people is just to offer a link where you can tip me however much you think is appropriate, which might well be absolutely nothing, and that's fine. But I'll put the link in the description under the video, and I'll put it right now at the bottom of the video so you can see the URL and type it in yourself if you're interested. And otherwise, if you're not, you could tell someone about these videos. You could subscribe to the channel, post a link on social media or something like that, and that would be hugely appreciated. Otherwise, let me know in the comments how you think I'm doing, and if you have any feedback, always happy to read it. And if you enjoyed or didn't enjoy those clue recaps regarding yesterday's puzzle, because I really enjoyed learning those extra little bits about those clues that I didn't return to. So with that, I will wrap up all of this epilogue. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle. I hope I will see you again tomorrow. And with that, take care.